Sit back and enjoy this interview with Fran Goodwin on The Country Life with Columbus Mark. In today's video, I want to introduce everyone to Fran Goodwin. And she's living right now in Tryon, North Carolina. And originally, Fran, you were from?
Waco, Texas.
Waco, Texas. And you still have family there?
Yes, I have one brother, I have some cousins, but one brother.
And you ended up here in Polk County because of some bullheaded gentleman.
Yes, yes.
And that would
My
be?
husband is Fran Goodwin, and we have been married in a month, 69 years.
Which is amazing and fantastic. So before we get to the main part of this video, what advice could you give people to make it be a long, married, successful life?
Well, I'm really not sure, but sometimes you have to learn to keep your mouth shut.
That's always good advice.
That's very good. Have many things in common, but you don't have to always be in common, and you don't have to always be going together somewhere. You are an individual, and you have likes and dislikes, and they don't necessarily mean the same to your spouse, or in my case, my husband. But we get along fine.
You must. You must. And you're
Sometimes we get mad, and I would pinch his head off, but no divorce, but murder, yes.
Well, and he said, because I've interviewed Garland, and we'll link to it in this video, but he said it's always good to meet your wife in a church and not in a bar. I remember he said that.
That's true, yeah.
So,
and he tells everybody that. He said, we met at church, not in a bar.
So I won't give people your real age, but we'll say you're in your upper 80s.
Oh,
But
I'm 88, it doesn't
she's
matter.
She's willing to say that. That is great. And I've interviewed some other people. Her husband's 90 years old, 93 years old.
Yes.
And I interviewed BJ not too long ago who was 90, is 90.
Right.
I heard that you never had a driver's license.
No.
And any reason why you decided you didn't want to get a driver's license?
Well, when the time came, of course, would have been the late 40s, early 50s. We only had one car. I mean, people only had one car, even if they had one car. And my mother always worked, and it was just an expense that we didn't have when it would have been much easier. Now, Garland had tried to give me lessons, and he finally gave up. Okay. He says it's not worth it.
So that's pretty fascinating in itself. But what's even more remarkable, no driver's license. To this day, you can't legally drive a car.
Right.
But some point in your life, you became a private pilot with a license.
Right.
How did that come about?
Because he flew.
He flew.
And he started flying when he was 16 in Hendersonville. And he wanted me to know enough to be able to get the airplane down if something happened to him when we were in the air.
And that included letting you become a pilot.
Yeah.
Taking the solo and all that.
It's fine. I don't like it like he does, or like he did. It's been a while since he has flown, medical-wise and meds and such. You can't get a physical. So, but if anybody at a local airport asks if he wants to go flying, he's climbing in the airplane.
But so in 1959, you climbed in an airplane.
Yes, I did.
And you did something absolutely remarkable. And I want to hear about that.
That was the greatest fun. It was really great fun. The annual all-women's Transcontinental air race.
1959.
1959. I was a student at that time, but and my instructor had her license for quite some time, and we had a great time. We lived in San Diego, and the race went from Lawrence, Massachusetts to Spokane, Washington.
Oh my goodness.
So basically, we saw the entire United States because we started out in San Diego and flew to Massachusetts. And then we raced to Spokane, Washington, and then we came home down the coast to San Diego.
Oh my God. So when you say race, there's other teams.
Yes.
So how many people in your group?
Just the two of us.
You and?
Mac, Carolyn Huntington. She was our instructor. She was my instructor.
Oh my goodness.
And there were 66 airplanes in all together.
So each one had two people, two pilots.
Some of them flew solo.
Solo. You were with someone?
Right, yeah.
You were how old at the time?
No, I was 25.
Oh,
I
wow.
was 25.
So, I mean, was it actually a race in that you all start on the same day? And
Yes, we all start. You take off in probably 2-minute intervals.
Oh my goodness.
And it's
You're not flying at night though.
no.
So you fly so many hours a day.
You could fly if you had an airplane that could make it to where you were going, you could fly it all in one day. But very few people did.
So how many days did this trip take you?
Probably 3.
Wow.
I know we spent one night outside of Chicago, and I can't remember where we spent the other night before we got into Spokane, Washington. But it's a handicap race, so you can have an airplane that top speed's 140 miles an hour, or one that's 300 miles an hour.
Wow.
But
Okay.
it's a handicap.
And how fast was yours rated to go? Do you remember?
Probably 165, 70, 175.
Were they all single engine planes? Or?
Yes. Yes.
And did hopefully no one crashed, but did anyone have to pull out because of problems?
Yes.
But you did not? You made the whole trip?
I could tell you a funny story.
I'd love to hear one.
There were 2 ladies from Australia, delightful ladies, and they, at that time, I thought they were old, but now I'm learning, 60's not real old.
Yeah.
But
Tell me
anyway,
about
they
it.
flew, and because of weather, they got way off course, and they saw a nice landing strip, and they landed there. And there was an airplane there. They saw the airplane, and he was a rancher, and he had all this cattle and everything. And these little ladies just had the best time. But the most exciting thing was one of the cows gave birth that night, and they got to watch the birth. When they got to Spokane, that's all we heard.
So they did finally get there.
Oh yeah, they got there. But
So was this race 19? Did he still have that? I've never heard of that.
yes, it's not. The race is not as long. Most of it went from coast to coast somewhere along the way. And now I don't know the last few years, but I know for a while it had gotten. It was much shorter, and it started in 41.
So how did you get? I mean, was Garland the one that encouraged you to do this? Was this something you wanted to do?
Oh, he flew all the time,
Right.
And I worked in the office at this little airport, and I started taking lessons.
Well, if you can think back to '59, what is one special memory you have of your participation in that race?
Well, I think it's something that I sort of alluded to. I got to see this country. I grew up in Texas, and I moved to California when I got married, and I had not traveled that much, and I saw a whole lot of this country, and I met a whole lot of nice people.
You've had, just like your husband, a lot of things in your life that have been pretty
Yes.
impressive.
Yes.
And we're not going to have time for all of those in this video. But I want to mention a couple things, okay? Because I know Garland says, and that's her husband, that you worked to put him through college, even
Right.
though he had the GI Bill.
Right.
So,
Well, still, and the GI Bill, you know, went a long way, but
it wasn't.
yes, I worked.
And you had a career before, or maybe even when you were married, as a, you said something to do with orthopedic?
I'm an orthopedic technologist by training, and that's why I worked in a hospital in Hampton, Virginia, and that's what I did before we retired.
And you eventually moved here into Polk County.
Right.
And you owned a store in downtown Columbus.
In Columbus.
For how many years did you own that?
10 or 11 years, a yarn shop.
And it was funny because, I don't say funny, but there were rocking chairs and
Oh, yes.
books. People
Coffee pot. We also had used paperback books. Anytime you start a business, you do all kinds of things to bring in money. And so we had used paperback books. And that was very good. It was very active. And we had rocking chairs and a coffee pot.
And I'm going to tell you right now,
friends.
They invited me over for this interview, and she served fancy muffins, and you had coffee going when I got here. You always do.
Right.
Well, anything else would you like to say?
Well, I really enjoyed the yarn shop. My sister-in-law and I started it, and she was a knitter, and I'm a counted cross stitcher, and I've been doing that for probably pretty near 50 years.
So, and of course you have two grown children.
Two grown children, a son in Asheville, which we usually see a couple of times a month. Our daughter and her family live in Virginia Beach, and we don't see them all that often. We don't drive that much anymore.
Fran, thank you so much. This has been great.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
Yes.
Thanks for being part of this.
Thanks for watching, and of course, thanks to Fran Goodwin for this remarkable story. I'm Mark, and this is The Country Life with Columbus Mark. Welcome to my neighborhood, wherever that might be.